back to the Meteorology Lab, the Monday edition. Cloudy skies in our part of Texas. We had some showers go through earlier, and they have moved well to the southeast very quickly. There's a look at them using digital atmosphere, and this is showing the radar capability that it offers. And I don't know if anybody has used digital atmosphere very much lately, but I have added some of the dual pole stuff. Differential reflectivity, correlation coefficient, KDP, stuff like that. So might want to check that out. Elsewhere, let's see here. Baroclinic system moving through the Memphis area. And by baroclinic, we mean temperature advection taking place in this area. This is obviously cold air advection here. And then we have warm air advection in Alabama and Georgia. And as you know, warm air advection, that is where we keep an eye out for severe storms, supercells, tornadoes, that kind of thing. Whereas with the in the cold air advection region, we tend to have a lot of linear boundaries, very strongly defined cold fronts. And that's kind of what we do have in Louisiana and Texas. Up north, we have an occluded system, given a little bit of snow there. Bit of a, I'm not sure we could call that a blizzard, maybe. I would have to check. Yeah, a quarter-mile visibility, 24 degrees, that's pretty close. However, this is mostly an occluded system. And you notice that the Weather Prediction Center drew a front hooked into that. Now, technically, that's not really supposed to happen, because if you have an occluded system, that means all your temperature contrasts are gone. So you can have a little bit of residual baroclinicity. That's probably what's happening up here, and I do see a little support for that. Temperatures right around 20 in this area here, contrasted with 30 in this region. So this indicates probably a little bit of a warm front coming around that backside there. So it's kind of like what we have with these systems down here, just kind of flipped over, rotated 90 degrees. So out north of that warm front, or in this case west, we could have a large warm air advection region, good area for freezing and precipitation if the column is kind of warm. And that can be an area of enhanced precip in that area, north or west of that cold front. And out to the west, Great Basin High settling in across Nevada. 1028 millibars in that region. All right, here's a look at the storms on radar. And nothing too severe at this time. The big thing is that there's not a whole lot of capping, so we've got numerous cells going up along that line, anywhere from the Baton Rouge area down to around Houston. And here it is on the SPC mesoanalysis. You can see we've got a little bit of instability down in this area. This is the most unstable cape. So we have 1,000 all the way to about Lake Charles, and then up the boundary it's less than 1,000. So that is definitely very marginal for thunderstorm activity. Okay, elsewhere, let's see. Let's take a look at the upper air chart. This is the 250 millibar analysis for about an hour ago. The polar front definitely shows up. There it is, right across that high. Looks like a baroclinic high in Nevada there. And that comes into the back part of that system, just like that. And then over that ridge. And it looks like superimposed on that, we've got subtropical jet, and they're seeing that out there in Florida, winds up to about 70 to 80 knots in that region there. So as you can see up in the northern states, not much jet energy at all. Winds very light in that area. So jet stream is well to the south, and that's where we expect to find the better baroclinicity. So remember that jet stream went kind of like that, So we expect to find the baroclinic high in that region. And then this is kind of a barotropic system up here. Not much upper air support. See that low is right in that area, so it is in the process of decaying. All right, let's check out the thermal structure using the 1,000 through 500 millibar thickness. And there we go. You can see that not a whole lot of baroclinicity up there in the Dakotas, just 2 lines there indicating that. And then the stronger baroclinicity is down in this area here. So if we draw out our fronts, they're going to look something like this. And then looks like a warm front, kind of like that right there. So at the triple point, which is apparently somewhere in Missouri, doesn't look like we have much low pressure in that region. Looks like one little closed low, but apparently there's just not much upper air support. And also, the amount of latent heat we have in that system is on the low side. It's kind of a bit of a dry system, as you can see here. And dew points, we've got 60s way down here, but as you go north, we get into much drier air in that region and not much of a precip area out ahead of that system. Okay, I guess we can take a quick look at the soundings. We'll pull up Lake Charles. And this is showing a little bit of capping up at about 10,000 feet. The models have not really indicated that quite as much. So that could be a little mesoscale feature it's picking up on. Definitely a bit of moisture in that region, but it's just not cold enough in the upper levels to get much instability going. So what we look for in this kind of situation is a very well-defined, let me see if I can pull up a 500 millibar chart. What we look for is a kind of a deep upper air system. Guess I don't have the 500 loaded up. Let me just switch over to that. Okay, so yeah, we don't really see a very deep system upstream in this area here. What we need to see is kind of a well-defined trough. Those are usually associated with cold air aloft, and that working over the top of that air mass would lower the temperatures and increase the instability a bit. Let me head over to the satellite, and there's those storms there. A few well-defined cells, so you can kind of use this to find where the most severe activity is. So it looks like we're focusing on the area north of Lake Charles. And there's all the subtropical jet activity over Texas. That's indicating probably a subtropical jet running something like that. Okay, let me check in on chat here, just kind of a quiet evening. Let's see, got quite a bit of chat here. CDMA 531 saying the convection is not really coming together well in Houston. Mr. Manlet getting hit with that occluded front in Rockford. Freezing marked with snowy conditions. Got Fun with Tech here and Burl H. Mr. Manlet reporting on that line of storms. Got Ryan Toomey's down there in Florida. CDMA saw a tornado warning in Louisiana this afternoon. Megan John reporting 11 inches of snow potential through the night. Winds gusting to 45 miles an hour, whiteout conditions. Shirley Keast reporting Michigan 19 degrees and looks like more snow. Brian Toomey's reporting high wind, heavy surf advisory for their area. from that powerful nor'easter. And let me just go down the list here. Ron Chalfant checking in. Sunny Southern California. Getting massive erosion where Ryan Toomey's is. Winds out of the east at 20 to 25. Let me see if I can see that on the surface chart. I think we would have to zoom in on that area. I'm assuming Ryan is still in Florida. Let me see if I can zoom that in here. Okay, Florida coming up here. And station plots. I'm seeing easterly at 5 here. So unless I got old data, or maybe Ryan is somewhere up in another area. CDMA drizzling in Houston right now. Mr. Manlett posting a surface analysis there. Cell with a tornado warning is disrupting on the imagery. And CDMA reporting winds out of the north at 13 in his area. Okay. So we're pretty much dominated by some subtropical jet moisture. Looks like a pretty good tap of that down there in Mexico. You can see that all the way down here. So it's kind of a bit of a Pineapple Express situation coming up into Texas. And then up north, it looks like we could see a little bit of the jet stream energy affecting that region right there. A little bit of moisture kind of distorting the picture, but looks maybe like something like that right there. And we can take a look at the west coast. And there's what we got going on there. You can see that very deep fetch right there off the Mexican coast, and looks like a couple more systems lined up out in that region all the way down to Hawaii there. So let's head into the forecast and start out with the high resolution rapid refresh, which goes through tomorrow morning. Looks like kind of a MCS there in Louisiana. Looks like a lot of forced convection out ahead of it. Some more cells predicted to go up later tonight around Houston to Beaumont, out to Lafayette. And then that moves offshore there. And then we'll just pick that up with the GFS. Gonna have to zoom that out a bit there. Okay. So let's see, starting out tonight, there's our area of thunderstorms being picked up by the GFS, and that moves offshore. And it looks like, yeah, there's a little bit of baroclinicity developing in southern Alabama to Georgia. So we can probably put a bit of a front through this area. Maybe a weak warm front developing in that area. And then frontal boundary kind of goes up that way to this occlusion in Iowa. And then tomorrow we get a little bit of heating during the day, so maybe a little bit of enhanced potential there in southwestern Georgia around the Tallahassee area in this trough. And then up to the north, I think that warm front is sitting just south of Wilmington, kind of like that right there. So our surface low is going to be in this area around Athens. And then, of course, the system links up to the north as an occluded front up there in Indiana. And we will have a little bit of residual instability in that region around that upper level low. So as we get a little bit of heating, we might expect to see some snow showers developing around Chicago, Indianapolis, up to Michigan, and back to Springfield out in that area. That'll move offshore, but not before moving up the coast, and we pick up that low right there early Wednesday. You can see that coming together, and that's going to be tracking up towards New England. And there it goes. It looks like that moves into the New York City area later on Wednesday. I would probably have to go with that for the baroclinic low, and it looks like this is kind of like a new occlusion in this area. And back behind it, a bit of a 1030 millibar high coming southeastward out of Canada. So this will be some colder air coming out of the prairies. So cold air advection for the rest of the week, and out in Texas it appears we pick up some warm air advection starting Thursday night right there. Got a system moving into Oregon and Washington, so we'll have to watch that in case that pops out a little bit further south on the plains. Yeah, there it is right there. So we're looking at next weekend there. This next system looks like it starts out kind of like that. And you can see this warm air advection area right here. And then as the day goes on Saturday, that warm air advection region really kind of takes off right there. So possibly some storms there, a little bit of potential there for severe weather on Saturday in the lower Mississippi River Valley. And then back behind it, take a look up here. We've got another Canadian high coming down. It's only 1025 millibars, but that is going to push some cold air advection southward in the plains. So by Sunday, we should be cooling down pretty good. Meanwhile, the system there in the southeast U.S. starts moving up the coast. So it looks like another chance of a winter storm, this one a little bit further south there in Virginia and North Carolina. Looks pretty potent there along the coast. However, this one, GFS is moving that offshore pretty quickly. Warm air advection starts setting up for Tuesday right there. Windy day in the high plains. And not much really to get anything going, but the next system is coming inland. There it is right there, very potent system for Wednesday and Thursday. Probably a lot of rain and snow there in California and Nevada. And at this point it's crossing the Rockies. Very strong warm air advection precip going there for Wednesday night. And then probably have an active dry line on Thursday, somewhere in this area. And then by evening we're looking like that right there. This cold front, it looks like it comes out kind of early during the day into the Caprock area. So I think this has the potential to be a good chase day. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that, especially with that 980 millibar low up there in the Central Plains. So this could be your first big severe outbreak for the Great Plains, but this is 270 hours out. So let me show you the wave associated with that. I'm going to show you the hemispheric here. Let me run this up to the 12th. Or is it the 14th? Yeah. Hey, let me check what day that was. Hang on a second. Okay, 15th. Somewhere around the 15th there. Okay, yeah, here's our first wave right there. And then the big wave is right there. And if we backtrack that, yeah, it looks like the origin of that is around the Arctic region, kind of in this area here. Actually, over Russia. Yeah, that's Siberia right there, northern Siberia. Not a whole lot of radiosonde stations in that area, so you're kind of counting on that data to be very accurate, and it's probably not. So as time goes on, yeah, there's our wave, and we got a long ways to go for that to actually verify. So I would expect there to be some significant changes between now on the 15th. So we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, after that, it's anybody's guess. This is really far out. But the overall pattern looks like a very large dome of high pressure. Looks like maybe some of the Hudson Bay vortex air is still cranking. So temperature's probably below normal in that region after the system passes. And it looks like we got an active southern stream, at least for the 15th through the 20th. Okay, well that's about all I got for tonight. I need to bring up the closing music. Forgot to do that. And once I do that, I can start... seems like I always forget something. Okay, that's all ready to go. And I'll take one last look at chat here. Okay, cell with a tornado warning disrupting. Thanks for that, CDMA. Shirley Keast going to Florida next month. Going to Disney World. Very good. And Electric Dog, Ron Chalfant, Carl, and everybody. Mr. Manlett, thanks. Appreciate you all watching the Weathercast. 15th will be a great chase day. We shall see. Oh, oral surgery. Okay. Thanks. I appreciate you all joining, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.